The birthday disappearance of Maya Larkin. A case full of secrets. Maya Larkin vanished the morning after her 48th birthday. Her phone was still on the kitchen counter. Her keys were beside the fruit bowl. Her wallet remained in her purse. Her car hadn't moved, and yet she was gone. Silently, completely, leaving nothing but an unsettling stillness behind. For 4 months, the small town of Hillsbrook, Michigan became a maze of search teams, posters, and whispered theories. Then, in early autumn, a pair of hikers found her skeletal remains in a forested ravine behind an abandoned orchard less than a mile from her home. Wrapped around her neck, a faded nylon camping strap looped over a cracked branch. Local police thought the story was straightforward, but nothing about Maya Larkin's life or her death was ever simple. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting stories. Hillsbrook was the kind of place people moved to when they wanted quiet, streets, and dependable neighbors. Maya Larkin fit right into that image. 47 years old, barely 5 feet tall, 95 pounds soaking wet. She worked for the State Social Services Bureau, an administrative role she held for more than 12 years. She was steady, reliable, and fiercely independent. But what defined her most was her energy. Friends called her the pocket-sized firework. Tiny, but impossible to ignore. She loved sunrise photography, foraging rare herbs in the hidden parts of the forest, long meditative walks, gardening in silence, spending hours reading in her garage loft, which she had turned into a tiny personal retreat. But Maya's life had been carved by tragedy long before she disappeared. Her older brother died in a motorcycle accident when she was 17. Her mother succumbed to cancer only 3 years later. Her first marriage ended when her husband took his own life. Yet those who knew her said the same thing. She always rose again. Even in her therapy journals, which investigators later reviewed, she wrote, "I break, but I rebuild, I always rebuild." After years alone, Maya met Evan Rourke through an online nature photography group. Evan, a former paramedic turned warehouse supervisor, lived just 20 minutes away in Lakewood Ridge. They bonded over their shared love for hiking and quiet places. They married in 2019, but Evan carried shadows of his own. His ex-wife later testified about his temper, how he could switch from tender to explosive without warning. Once during an argument, he allegedly pushed her against a wall. No charges were ever filed, but the memory lingered. Evan's adult son, Liam, died in 2017 after a long struggle with addiction. Evan spiraled after that, drinking heavily for months. Yet when he met Maya, friends thought he had stabilized. Still, small cracks showed through their marriage. Arguments about money, Evan's drinking, Maya's preference for solitude, Evan's accusations that she was too secretive, Maya's occasional bruises she never explained. But Maya didn't leave. She once told her sister, "Everyone deserves someone who believes they can do better." The last birthday, May 14th, 2021, Maya's 48th birthday. It was warm, unusually bright for spring. Evan suggested they spend the morning at Silver Creek Reserve, where they often collected natural spring water. Neighbors saw them laughing when they returned home with a trunk full of bottles. Later, they visited the Hillsbrook Veterans Memorial Field, a place Maya loved because of the silence. By 6 p.m., bars in Hillsbrook had reopened after pandemic restrictions were eased. The couple went birthday hopping, stopping first at the Birch Lounge, where bartender Talia Hensley said, "They seemed normal, a little quiet, but nothing tense." They left at 7:40 p.m. Their neighbor, Mr. Kempner, saw Maya outside her house around 8:10 p.m., watering a small patch of wildflowers. That would be the last confirmed sighting of her alive. The morning after, Evan claimed they went to bed early and slept in separate rooms because he'd been drinking. He told police, "When I woke up at 9:30, she wasn't home. I figured she went walking." But that wasn't convincing because Maya never took early walks without her phone. Her walking sandals were still inside. Her hair was wrapped in a towel, as if she had showered and forgotten to finish drying it. At 2:10 p.m., Evan called Maya's friend Cassandra Leone from Maya's phone, asking if she had seen her. Cassandra later said, "He sounded worried, but also rehearsed. It felt like he was reading lines." At 3:20 p.m., Evan filed a missing person report. Body cam footage shows him oddly calm at first, almost detached until officers began searching the house. Then he became jittery, refusing to let them enter the garage until they insisted. The search that should have found her. Hillsbrook erupted into an overnight volunteer army. Hundreds gathered in parking lots and fields. Drones, bloodhounds, cadaver dogs, and search grids mapped the entire eastern wood line. But the western ravine, behind the old linden orchard, was never searched, not once. Officers claimed it was covered by aerial scans, but later admissions proved no team walked it. This would become the single most controversial failure of the entire investigation. Meanwhile, Evan avoided every organized search event. He hung flyers and posted online, giving interviews that many viewers described as strange, emotionally mismatched, or rehearsed. In one online interview, he described Maya's body as if he had already seen it. Investigators flagged that immediately. On September 9th, 4 months after her disappearance, 2 women hiking near the Linden Orchard Ravine noticed something unusual. A cluster of fabric snagged on a fallen tree. Then they saw the bones. The remains were in a kneeling position. Torso leaned forward. The nylon strap looped over a low branch. Weather had stripped most soft tissue. Beside the left knee, a metal water flask containing fermented fruit liquid, Maya's wedding ring, and the small silver ring she always wore on her right hand. Her hands rested near her ankles, one palm curled upward, as if she'd been adjusting something. Her long-sleeved shirt had slipped down to her waist. Her tank top was intact. She still wore her hiking leggings and trail shoes. DNA was minimal. The strap held no usable prints. The experts clash. Dr. Harold Vance, a respected forensic pathologist, led the initial analysis. His findings: minimal mummified tissue, 2 hyoid bone fractures, nasal cavity abrasions, no conclusive evidence of manual strangulation, possible post-mortem environmental damage. He listed the manner of death as undetermined. But months later, another expert, Dr. Laurel Keating, a private forensic consultant hired by a state investigator, issued a contradictory report. She argued multiple hyoid fractures were highly indicative of manual strangulation. Facial injuries suggested blunt force trauma. Positioning was not consistent with a spontaneous self-suspension. Her conclusion: homicide staged as suicide. Yet she never examined the physical remains, only photos and secondary reports. The scientific community split in two. Until today, they remain divided. Evan's phone data introduced a major twist. He claimed he spent the morning at the Lakewood Transportation Depot checking bus advertisements, but phone tower records showed 9:07 a.m. His phone pinged near Pine Watch Quarry, less than a mile from home. 9:34 a.m. His car was caught on a private security camera near Linden Orchard. 10:01 a.m. His phone finally appeared near the bus depot he claimed to be at all morning. Investigators believed this window, approximately 8:50 to 10 a.m. was critical. There was also the garage incident during the initial search. Officers noted Evan moved a green extension cord, a folding chair, a floodlight, Why he rearranged items during an investigation remained unexplained. Interrogation footage later played in court revealed strange inconsistencies. Evan repeatedly spoke about Maya in past tense before her body was found. He brought up suicide possibilities unprompted. He described hypothetical methods of self-harm in detail. He insisted Maya knew the woods better than anyone. One detective wrote, "It felt like he was narrating his own theory, so we would adopt it." In May 2022, almost 1 year after the disappearance, a grand jury indicted Evan Rourke on second-degree murder, first-degree premeditated murder, felonious assault. He was arrested during a traffic stop, bewildered and emotional, telling reporters, "They've destroyed my life. I did nothing." He maintained innocence through every hearing. The trial that shocked the town. The trial began in August 2023. The prosecution argued. Evan and Maya argued regularly. Maya removed her wedding ring the night she vanished. Evan staged a suicide in a ravine Maya often visited. Phone data contradicted his alibi. The hyoid fractures were classic strangulation patterns. The defense countered. No DNA, no blood, no eyewitnesses. A compromised crime scene, incomplete skeletal recovery, conflicting expert opinions. They insisted, "You cannot convict a man based on maybes." The jury's decision. After 2.5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned not guilty on all charges. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Evan collapsed, sobbing dramatically. To cameras outside, he said, "I lost my wife, then I lost my life. Now, I'm just trying to breathe again." He moved out of Hillsbrook. Weeks later, the unanswered questions. To this day, Maya Larkin's death is suspended between two possibilities: a tragic suicide in her favorite forest sanctuary, or a carefully staged murder with no surviving trace of the killer. Her family firmly believes she was murdered. Her husband firmly insists she wasn't. The death certificate still lists the manner of death as homicide by strangulation, but with no conviction, no definitive forensic consensus, and a fractured investigation, the truth remains buried in the ravine where Maya Larkin breathed her last breath. If you have thoughts or theories, leave them below.